This video contains spoilers for Aestik, which is probably not unusual for devlogs, but I warned you anyway. So it's 2022, and half a month in I thought that it might be a good time to make a new devlog for Aestik. You don't know Aestik? Well, a good thing I'm here to explain it to you. Aestik is a hand-drawn 2D Metroidvania setting in a strange world inhabited by many weird creatures and its goal blah 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 blah. Got that? Great. Let's dive into the most recent edition for Aestik. As I announced in the last devlog, this one will be about another boss fight. The boss will conclude my work on the halls of nature for now. Before we talk about the fight itself though, let's take a look at its lead-up story-wise. The story? After exploring the halls of nature for a while, the traveler reaches a room guarded by a warrior who seems to be one of the few people left unaffected by the corruption. He, who turns out to be the general of the halls and former protector of nature herself, tells them that the person he protects, the daughter of nature, doesn't seem to be feeling well lately and that she won't listen to him. He then lets the traveler pass in hopes that she might listen to them, but warns them not to do her any harm. So they proceed. The traveler eventually reaches the sanctuary of the halls, where they find the daughter of nature weakened by the ever-growing corruption within her. Next to her, floating in the air and exposed of her body, they see her beating heart. The daughter begins to talk. She was actually expecting a different person to visit the halls, but the fact that the traveler stands before her doesn't seem to be a surprise for her as well. She explains that she exposed her heart willingly for the visitor to destroy it and thus kill her, since she would die soon anyway and fears that insanity would take over. That's the moment the traveler needs to make a decision. Do they destroy the heart or leave the room? If the traveler chooses to do the former, the daughter will die right before their eyes. When they try to leave the halls though, they will be attacked by the general of nature. I've made a video about this fight too, so check it out, yeah? On the other hand, if the traveler chooses to leave the room without destroying the daughter's heart, they will meet the general again. When talking to the traveler, he seems disillusioned about the fact that there is no hope for the daughter and thus their society to survive. He advises them to leave as soon as possible. When the traveler proceeds to do so, though, the daughter, taken over by insanity, will attack them. So let's stop the narration for some juicy combat action. It should be clear on first glance that this fight is quite different from any other boss fight up until this point. The daughter protects herself behind a wall of mist, making it impossible to attack her directly. Instead, you have to attack her heart, which is still exposed and stays somewhat but not too close to you. Mind you that this is easier said than done. While you have to chase the heart down to damage the boss, you simultaneously have to dodge a variety of ranged attacks. Let's look at the different attacks in detail. First we have the mist arrow, a large projectile which is launched directly at the player. While it's not a homing projectile, its size can make it somewhat tricky to dodge. The attack is telegraphed by the daughter, leaning her up her body back while holding her staff in front of her. I also used different sound effects for each attack, but more on that later. The daughter of nature uses the mist arrow in the first phase as well as in the second. Another attack the boss uses is the pillar attack. Note that these attack names are not relevant to the story in any regard, they are just for telling the attacks apart. For this attack, a pillar of essence will appear at the position the player stands when the attack is performed. If the player doesn't move horizontally, they will get hit, so it's best to stay in motion throughout this fight. The pillar attack is telegraphed by the daughter standing up and holding her staff above her head. It's also used in both phases of the fight. At last we have the projectile attack all of nature's sorcerers know how to perform. It's a homing projectile that bursts after a short time if it doesn't hit the player or get parried. The attack is mostly telegraphed by the projectile spawn animation, but the daughter also swings her staff discreetly when she performs it. The homing projectile is only used in the second phase of the fight, intensifying an already intense battle relying on fast reactions. Well, that's the fight in a nutshell. As you might have realized already, it was a shit ton of work to animate this boss fight. While 6 different animations I had to create might not sound like too many, the level of detail the character has elevates the workload quite a lot. I had to create the following animations: a spawn animation, an idle one, a death animation, an attack animation, a second attack animation, and a third attack animation. As if this wasn't enough already, I had to create 2 new projectiles, the arrow and the pillar. So as you can see, I had to fight quite a battle at the animation front, but obviously there's more to a boss fight than just creating art for it. I had to write a script for the behavior of the boss, which took me a while but wasn't too complicated. I did this a few times by now and you kinda get used to it. The script for the arrow attack gave me quite a headache though. I really struggled making it move into the right direction while also rotating accordingly. And you know, I'm really not an expert, but it feels like just a natural thing. Sometimes coding just flows without a problem, and other times there's a whole lot of cleaning up to do. In that regard, coding is kinda like defecating. Lastly, I had to record some sound effects, and as you can probably deduce from my voice, it's unlikely that I'm the right person for this job. So I spoke to a woman. about it and asked her if she wanted to be the voice of the daughter of nature, to which she agreed. So I let Julia make some fighting noises as well as speak some words in Aestik's own language. I'm planning to give every NPC a short voice line to speak on interaction anyway, so it was a good moment to start. I then needed to record some sound effects for the projectiles, bada bing bada boom, and the boss fight is done. There's one thing left I forgot to mention. I also created a new boss fight theme for both of the Halls of Nature's bosses. It wasn't ready yet when I showcased the Genre of Nature boss, but his fight will have the same theme playing and you're about to hear it in a second. So let's look at some gameplay. So that's a new boss fight. What are your thoughts about it? I'm pretty happy with the outcome. It's quite unique and I think that Julia nailed the voice acting on this one. Stay tuned for more devlogs. I already started working on some new additions as well as reworked some existing stuff. I have great plans for 2022, so if you're excited for what's to come, it's probably worth it to stick around. Until then, see ya! And don't forget to leave your wife, subscribe to Chanel and hit that bell. You're still there. Well, if you made it this far, I'm sure that you're willing to join my Discord server. You can find the link in the description.